June was showcase season and had the Steam summer sale, so here are some new releases you might have missed, beginning with the 1.0 release of Railroads and Catacombs, a roguelite deck builder RPG in which you operate a train that serves as your home base, refuge and transportation through an accursed world, battling horrific creatures and customizing your deck and crew along the way. Select your crew to help operate the train, but stop to explore and gather resources, where positioning on the grid in combat will be crucial to your success. Between fights, upgrade your cards, and gain permanent unlocks with a sick looking Darkest Dungeon inspired art style as well. The Little Pixel That Could is a minimalist precision platformer where you play as a daring little pixel on a quest to delete the browser history of its owner while unearthing fragmented memories. The minimalist presentation is clean looking and has a variety of hazards and traps, along with mechanics like wall jumping, double jumping and more, so if you're in the mood for one of these, perhaps give this a go. This video is brought to you by Fretless, The Wrath of Riffson, a turn-based RPG with a musical theme by developer Retro Studios and publisher Playdigious, where you wield a mighty guitar in order to defeat the boss of the evil Super Metal Records company who is exploiting musicians. The world itself is musically themed, with flowers that jingle and rocks which really rock, feeding into the overall presentation of the game. There is an active turn-based combat system mixed in with the collection and usage of mighty riffs which you can add to your deck, building up to powerful crescendo attacks to obliterate your enemies. I do love the pixel art as well, and is being made by a team which includes musician and YouTuber Rob Scallon, but promises that music is for everyone, so whether you're pretty casual in music like me or are hardcore and play in a band, there should be something for everyone in this title, being available right now, so get it via the link in the description below. A gorgeous looking point-and-click adventure game is The Guardian of Nature, a hand-drawn title where you play as a botanist named Henry who can change his size to navigate both towering forests and hidden underground tunnels in a bid to heal a disrupted ecosystem. It has a storybook fairy tale kind of presentation as Henry explores this whimsical world on his journey to get to the Tree of Life, having to find items and solve puzzles along the way, including nature cards which fill up the Book of Nature, which unveils more about the story and lore about the world. It has a solar punk theme, so the puzzle mechanisms involve magical energy flows tapping into this wonderful source of energy, which is always interesting to see. They did also surprise release episode 1 during the Wholesome Direct, with 2 more episodes to come, and is technically early access, but it's a relatively low price, so if you love the genre, this should be worth your time. Boogey Hunters is a roguelite deck builder with a Weird West-like setting where you play as a monster hunter racing around the globe to track down mythical boogies in order to save the world. Time is a factor, measured in days, where you have to cater to travelling time across countries as you seek out these monsters which grow stronger with every passing day. Battles are turn-based, with the cards representing ammo in your chamber as you select and slot these in and exploit synergies between them. Each boogie draws from local legends, which I'm always a fan of since I love mythology in general, being a neat little one of these that is worth a look. Here's an interesting title since Berserk or Die is published by Ponko, the vampire survivors people, so they saw something interesting in this game, being quite a literal action smash 'em up. While your character is flying all over the screen attacking enemies, the control scheme involves literally banging on your keyboard with your entire palm, with the more buttons pressed resulting in a wider attack range. Enemies spawn in relentlessly while you attack, so smash on those keys to take them out, building up a special meter as you do so to unleash an even more powerful attack. After each intense wave, there is a peddler vendor character who lets you spend earned gold on healing, relics, new weapons or upgrades before kicking off the next wave. There are also multiple biomes and playable characters across different historical ages, having a nice variety and a cool look. but of course, it can be a rather noisy affair when you play this game, but for being weird and unique, this gets a spot. About 2 years after the release on Steam, the first-person horror title My Friendly Neighborhood releases on consoles, where you play as a repairman sent into a seemingly abandoned children's TV studio to stop a sinister broadcast brought back to life by sentient puppets. Yep, it's basically Sesame Street Muppets, but reimagined as a horror game where those cold, dead eyes can be kind of freaky, especially when they creep up on you from behind. It is classic horror game stuff of having to find items to solve puzzles with a dose of combat, but of course, nothing bloody or gory here, adding a dose of stealth as well, and is for fans of the genre. One of the breakout hits during the pandemic was Kind Words, a letter writing and typing game that enabled you to send your worries and feelings into the ether and to get a response from an actual human player in return, all anonymized of course, with Fireside Feelings looking to be in a similar vein, a cozy, conversation-driven mental wellness experience in which you settle down next to a crackling virtual campfire to share and reflect on life's moments through prompts and moderated anonymous responses. You choose a charming, customizable animal avatar, answer thoughtful questions ranging from lighthearted to deeply personal, and then receive responses shared by others, all filtered and free of judgment or AI interference. The core gameplay is charmingly simple, where you reflect, write, and read, with the asynchronous conversations sparking empathy and connection with some other people on this planet. There are gamified elements like being able to collect soul energy to personalize your campfire setup, adding furniture, decor, or ambient effects, and is a pretty cozy title. We did also get the 1.0 release of Wizard of Legend 2, a fast-paced, spell-slinging action roguelite that is the follow-up to a very popular title, although this sequel has fallen short in terms of expectations. Similarly, you play as a wizard competing in the Chaos Trials, slinging spells through randomized dungeons packed with traps, enemies, bosses, and elemental hazards. Start each run by equipping arcana or spells across multiple schools like fire, ice, earth, lightning, and air, then dive into combat where chaining spell combos, dashing to avoid damage, as well as environmental awareness will be key to your survival. They did swap out the pixel art of the original game for a 3D look from an isometric camera angle, with pros and cons of doing that, but do note that it is by a different developer, this time from the creators of Children of Morta instead. The main complaints that I have seen are that of bugs, which are still not fixed in the 1.0 version, and a limitation in the amount of content, run variety, and viable builds, so a swing and a miss I suppose, and I don't know if it will be able to get fixed. Another 1.0 release of interest is Backpack Battles, a strategy auto-battler in the vein of Super Auto Pets, but with items in your inventory instead. Play inventory Tetris and collect equipment in your backpack, where positioning matters since the items interact with each other using their synergies and combos to defeat other players in an asynchronous manner. You begin each run by choosing a hero, including Berserker, Ranger, Reaper, or Pyromancer as examples, each of which have some interesting gimmick, and start to use gold to purchase items. Adjacent items can be combined into powerful gear via crafting recipes, so spatial planning is just as important as item choice. Once the battle starts, your setup activates automatically, so items deal damage, apply buffs and debuffs or special effects all on their own, so you can sit back and observe, and is one of the most successful indie games ever with over 15,000 Steam reviews. This next title might be going under the radar since yes, Three Kingdoms Mushouden does seem to be from a Chinese developer with Chinese text in this trailer, but there is an English translation available and it seems to be quite the game. This is a strategy RPG with the classic Three Kingdoms backdrop, beginning on the eve of the Yellow Turban Rebellion, where you can choose to create your own original character or play as a historical warlord as you build your legacy. Manage a party of characters on the overworld map moving through the world, balancing diplomacy, recruitment, and logistics as you march through procedurally generated terrain, diplomatic hubs, and rebel encampments in search of power and influence. Combat is real-time with pause, with a larger than usual number of units on screen, adding strategic depth as you deploy formations, adjust unit tactics, and use character abilities as well as battlefield characteristics like elevation to pull off clever maneuvers such as flanking the enemy. There's a larger strategy layer involving cities and towns, as well as a resource management layer, and looks like a strategy title of interest. Apocalypse Express is an action management roguelite that does kind of look FTL inspired, in which you take control of a heavily armed train barreling through a post-apocalyptic wasteland against endless waves of attackers. You control a character and run from car to car in real time, repairing engines, extinguishing fires, refilling ammo, and loading turrets, all while upgrading your train with new cannons, shield generators, hackers, and repair stations. Combat is frantic as bandits, mutant creatures, and enemy units surround your train, forcing constant multitasking between shooting and mechanic duties as you make your way across a node-based map. You are finding and unlocking relics and upgrades, with the action ramping up in intensity the further you go along. So while it has a relatively simple pixel art style, I do think there's something to this game. Alaloth, Champions of the Four Kingdoms, is an interesting isometric action-adventure RPG with real-time combat, self-described as Baldur's Gate meets Dark Souls, releasing the SIGIL update, which brings it to version 1.1. This is a major overhaul patch that reworks progression, difficulty scaling, and mid-game pacing, changing the original level cap and experience curve into a new tiered system, as well as tweaking how powerful enemies are in order to give it a smoother progression arc across the entire game. This update also introduces the Tales from the Four Kingdoms questline, which expands narrative content with new lore entries, character interactions, and decisions that impact faction standing, also adding more new weapons, armor sets, sigils, and consumables, along with quality of life improvements, and is worth a play. One of the most successful bottom-of-screen idle games this year is Tiny Pasture, so the Azure Waters paid DLC makes sense, adding an aquarium filled with vibrant fish species and aquatic plants into the mix in place of the more terrestrial animals of the base game. You unlock and place over 30 new fish types that swim gracefully across your screen, each generating coins and interacting with decor such as corals, bubbles, and drifting seaweed. It maintains the same caretaking mechanics as the base game in feeding, nurturing, and collecting, with various unlockables and additions to your tank, as well as some adorable pixel art, where the explosion of this style of game is interesting to watch since it is the poster child of what is old is new again. The Command & Conquer-like RTS Tempest Rising is one of the nicer surprises of the year so far, releasing the Rally and Recon update, a major multiplayer-focused update which adds 6 new maps, 4 of which are tailored for 2v2 and 2 for 1v1 modes, along with 2v2 ranked mode featuring leaderboards and seamless matchmaking. There's also a spectator mode dubbed V1 added, allowing for a basic live viewing experience with improvements and additions to lobby chat, quality of life improvements, and some balancing changes, and it's nice to see this game continue to have a community post-launch. We have not one but 2 interesting controlling games in this video, with Fingerdance being a typing game which challenges your dexterity. Place 5 fingers on a keyboard and follow the on-screen patterns, pressing and releasing each finger in sequence to complete rounds as quickly and accurately as possible. The gameplay is like a rhythm challenge without the music, with speed and muscle memory mattering more than tapping to the beat, so your reaction time and finger coordination will be critical. Each stage presents new pattern combinations that ramp up in complexity and is a scoring S-rank chasing kind of game, where I don't know about you, but years of typing have kind of screwed up my hands and fingers, so maybe this will help. I'm not usually one for first-person simulator titles, since following the success of a few standout titles, These have popped up like weeds and more often than not seem to be copy-pasted with a change of theme from a syndicate of developers under the same parent company, but yet Parcel Simulator manages to stand out. Play as a parcel inspector responsible for sorting, scanning and approving packages under changing delivery regulations in a warehouse, manually inspecting parcel labels, figuring out their weight, destination and cargo type, and if they have any chance of being contraband, then approve or reject each based on shifting criteria. As your operation scales, you design and upgrade conveyor systems, integrate automated scanners, sorting belts and storage zones to boost efficiency and to meet growing throughput demands. It strikes a great balance between methodical inspection tasks and the strategy of a factory builder and is a good one of these. We also had the 1.0 release of Suit for Hire, a hybrid top-down and third-person action shooter in which you play as a stylish assassin tearing through tightly designed combat arenas using fluid gunplay, melee takedowns and momentum-driven movement. Each level drops you into a handcrafted environment ranging from rooftops, offices, showrooms and more, where you chain together kills using pistols, shotguns and assault rifles, blending precision with improvisation. There's a certain rhythm to the combat as you efficiently take out your enemies, where consecutive kills without taking damage activates a clean suit bonus that instantly reloads your weapon and extends your combo. You can switch between an overhead tactical view and an over-the-shoulder camera on the fly, depending on what the situation calls for and how much spatial awareness you need, being kind of Max Payne-like in nature down to having bullet time, but with a dose of Hotline Miami, not exactly being the prettiest game, but the art style works and is a fantastic action title. Click and Conquer is an incremental strategy game in which you bomb hidden enemies across fog of war grids to uncover resources, gain currency, and expand your bombing influence through a series of evolving maps. Of course, there are plenty of upgrades in a node-based tree which you can unlock, hence the incremental nature of the game, and has been very well received, where the rise of the paid, finite, incremental game is an interesting trend to watch as well. The Gentle Bros is probably the Singaporean indie game developer at the moment, so I'm always happy to show off their games, with Cat Quest 3 releasing the Tavern Tales free update in June. This is a boss-focused update which adds 5 new Tavern Tale boss fights, remix versions of previous major boss encounters, each with unpredictable modifiers that turn the previous encounter into something much more thrilling. Defeating each new variant grants you a new crewmate companion, along with an extra secret encounter once you clear all the new battles, along with generally more stuff which adds more to this game. The first-person slasher VOIN has been chugging along in early access, releasing the new Icy Permafrost update which adds a vast new frozen biome filled with snow-covered forests, mountain trails and hidden ruins as you face towering snow giants and ice golems. They have also completely overhauled the leveling system, adding a literal tree of talents allowing you to grow your character. You can find soul fruits while exploring, offering them to the tree to unlock passive bonuses, also adding in more story and lore to the game, where the first-person action even in the early access launch version was impressive, so this is developing quite nicely. One of you the other day just mentioned to me that the viral sensation R.E.P.O is made by the same developer as the roguelite Monster Hunter-like Void Digger, so there's some trivia for you, where they released their first major update titled The Museum. This is a co-op horror extraction game where up to 6 players play as funny robots attempting to retrieve fragile, high-value artifacts from increasingly dangerous facilities crawling with monsters, with this adding a new map in the Museum of Human Art. There are new items, various quality of life improvements, improved lobbies, a region selector for better ping, expressions as a form of communication, and a new moon phases system, shifting every 5 levels which changes the difficulty, along with an overcharged mechanic which limits the effectiveness of grabbing enemies. But what an indie success story this is, and I cannot wait to see where they go from here. DRAPLINE is an interesting take on the Princess Maker style of time management RPG, this time framed as a roguelite in which you nurture a dragon girl over the course of a single in-game year to prepare her for a looming catastrophe. Each run lasts for about an hour, during which you can feed her anything from meals to rocks to lava to boost stats like strength, defense, magic, and unique traits. Skill synergies are central, where you're selecting and combining from over 100 different skills and abilities, creating powerful builds for the run. Her personality and appearance evolves based on your food and parenting choices, whether she ends up being kind, wild or disciplined, which then affects dialogue, story beats, and which of the multiple endings you unlock. It is a roguelite, so there is replayability and plenty to discover, but do note that it is an early access release but does currently sit at an overwhelmingly positive rating. I never recommend developers to release their games in June due to showcase season and the Steam sale, where Rekindled Trails released during the sale, which is not a good idea since you could have gotten The Witcher 3 or something for like $8, but still, this is a cozy adventure RPG that does seem to be doing okay. You play as a resourceful adventurer tasked with reigniting the flame to bring hope back to a faithless world. Explore diverse biomes and gather resources through fishing, mining, or pulling roots out of the earth, fitting them into your backpack, inventory, Tetris style, reminding me of Dredge. Carry these back to town to sell, or to give to the locals to help, unlocking new upgrades and seeing villages get rebuilt due to your actions, looking wonderfully cozy. I must of course talk about the 1.0 release of Supermarket Simulator, the tremendously popular first-person shop management simulator which spawned a whole bunch of clones to the chagrin of many, including myself. But there must be something to this game. You are running every aspect of a growing grocery store, from unpacking boxes to scanning items to pricing inventory, hiring staff, and expanding your empire. Begin with a modest storefront and stock basic shelves by manually opening crates, placing goods, and setting prices. Customer flow is constant during opening hours, and you're responsible for scanning items accurately at checkout, responding to low stock alerts, and keeping things clean and organized. Once you've earned enough profits, you can expand the shop or move to a new location and bring in additional product types like electronics or bakery goods. Managing your staff adds a layer of complexity, having to hire the right people and to ensure that you have the funds to pay them, expanding upon the finance side of things with loans, daily expenses, and even reinvesting for the future, just like what any small business owner would do. With the full release adding an online order system, delivery, and various optimization improvements, but they are not done just yet, with multiplayer support and console launches to come being especially impressive since this started off as a solo project. The Symbol Builder roguelite is a subgenre of the deck builder, with Cat God Ranch being an excellent one of these, in which you are using animals to generate tribute for your chosen cat god, with the Age of Dinosaurs paid DLC, of course adding dinosaurs into the mix. This adds 9 new difficulty tiered rainforest maps, 20 plus new entries in the dinosaur family of animals, each with unique synergy interactions with the other animals and each other. There are also new items and 2 new cat gods, which adds plenty of content for just $2. This next title is one of the rare instances where a surprise release works, launching during the Wholesome Direct, but that is because Squeakcross Home Squeak Home does come to us from the developer of The Spirit and the Mouse, so there is some pedigree here. This is a cozy nonograms or Picross style puzzle adventure game where you're solving these grid-based puzzles, but in doing so, unlock furniture and decor for your house, unlock hundreds of items through picture-by-picture progression, and then go into your home to decorate and live, being a very cozy, very chill experience. Out of all the logic puzzle games, think Sudoku and the like, Picross is my personal favourite, so this appeals to me and does have friendly quality of life improvements to help in the puzzling and is a wonderful experience. Shotgun Copman is a neat action platformer which didn't do as well as this developer's previous title, My Friend Pedro, so I suppose they're attempting to borrow some of that brand recognition with this free crossover DLC. You now get a banana companion like in My Friend Pedro, with movement and mechanics that resemble their other title as well, including stylish acrobatics and absurd flair, adding a new campaign with over 50 new levels spread across 3 themed worlds. These are designed around Pedro-inspired objects like ziplines, frying pans, swing ropes and breakable objects that expand your mobility options and open up combo-heavy options as compared to the base levels, being awesome that they did so, but one can't help but feel that it erodes a little bit of the identity of this game, but hey, more free content is good, so support this developer if interested. One of the biggest releases of 2024 is Luma Island, a cozy life sim title releasing the free Pirates update, which transforms this relatively peaceful game into a sunlit pirate adventure. A new Pirate Cove zone opens up, complete with new treasures, mini-games, quests, and more, a new shipwright profession, new NPCs, new Lumas, and a bunch more stuff, with the pirate content being integrated all the way through alongside the main story content, and is not a siloed off one-off area. They also added 3 game modes in Cozy, Adventure, and Hero, essentially being difficulty levels, allowing you to select the level that you're most comfortable with. This update honestly came as a surprise to me and is impressive, and with over 9,000 Steam reviews is on its way to becoming an all-time great, where I can easily see them adding and expanding this game Stardew Valley style, so it will be very interesting to check back in a year or 2 down the line. Bullet Heaven roguelites are still a thing, despite many of the major ones releasing in 1.0 and more or less calling it a day, with a decent one of these being Temtem Swarm, the spin-off of the monster taming RPG with MMO elements, who released the Endless Inferno update. This adds the new Kisiwa Arena, a fiery and icy hybrid zone teeming with mini-bosses, traps and environmental hazards, also adding a fiery new Temtem named Rayber as a playable character. It is a fire lion which deals more damage as its health drops, encouraging aggressive play and risk-taking, with new skills and abilities as well. Co-op systems have been improved with a better lobby browser as well as other improvements, which is nice since 3-player co-op is a stated feature, so this is chugging along nicely and is a decent one of these. A game which had a slow start but has really been gaining momentum is the horror RPG Look Outside, having more in common with Fear and Hunger instead of Final Fantasy, releasing the version 1.5 free update which adds new characters, enemies, door encounters, a better crafting system and recipes, and a whole bunch of changes, including a reworked flooded basement area. There are also balancing changes and additional polish, being well on its way to becoming a cult classic, so like Luma Island, I wonder what's next for this game. We also had the 1.0 release of Yao Ling Mythical Journey, a creature collecting RPG in which you explore an Eastern fantasy world while building a team of mythical beings called Yaolings that fight, evolve, and work to restore balance to the land. Instead of Pokemon-like turn-based combat, this has auto-battler combat instead, where positioning and passive abilities determine the flow of battle, with your support skills during battle possibly changing the result. Outside of combat, there's a village building and resource gathering element, think Pal World, where certain Yaolings can specialize in resource gathering, cooking, mining or construction, and assigning them to the right task can boost your town's productivity. Take your party and explore the world, battling through forested trails, snowy peaks, haunted ruins, and corrupted dungeons, with each zone introducing new enemy types and resources, where the Yaolings can evolve as well, and is a fascinating entry in this space. Just a quick one here in Moonstone Island Evolutions Update, where the monsters can evolve with 28 new creatures, a new mine, and a new boss battle, which makes this even better. Of course, my beloved Hades 2 did get a massive new update as well, where the strategy that Supergiant seems to be taking with this release is fewer but insanely massive updates, with the Unseen unlocking new hidden aspects for all weapons, reworked the Umbral Flames weapon, added more story events with characters, and souped up the boss fights through the Vow of Rivals, where if you know anything about Hades, weapons are central to the experience, so it effectively doubled the number of options, with the most interesting part of the patch notes being that they are gearing up for a 1.0 release next. Watch this video for more of the best indie games.
When did it start?